Today we're making a star coaster, which can also be made into a star pouch. For each star, I will be using about 10 grams of big twist cotton in the color Sage. It's a number 4 or medium weight yarn and mostly cotton. Cotton is good for coasters since it absorbs water and is resistant to heat. I'll also be using a 4.5mm hook to make the hole smaller, and a yarn needle, and some scissors. To start, you can do a magic ring, but I'll be doing a chain ring. First, we'll need a slip knot. To make a slip knot, place the yarn over the palm of your hand with the tail end at the bottom. Grab the top and make sure there's about 5 inches of yarn here. Then wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X. Insert your hook under one side of the X, then over and grab the other side and pull it through. Remove your fingers and tighten the knot. And here's your slip knot. Now we'll chain 5. To chain, yarn over and pull through. And here is our first chain. Again, yarn over and pull through, and we'll keep going until we have 5 chains. And these are our 5 chains. Now we're going to form a ring by slip stitching to the first chain that we made. So it's a slip stitch, insert your hook into the V of the first chain, then I like to grab onto the chains with my left hand, and yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. And you should have this little circle that we'll be working into. Now let's start round 1, and at the start of every round we'll chain 2. Then we'll do 15 double crochets into the center of the ring. To do a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull through. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And this is our first double crochet. The chain 2 that we made does not count as a double crochet. So again, to do a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull through. Now you should have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we'll do that 13 more times to get a total of 15 double crochets. Then to close off the round, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch in the round. Again, to do a slip stitch, insert your hook into the top of the first double crochet of the round. So here's the first chain we made, the second chain, then here's the first double crochet, insert your hook under the V of this first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. Then we'll pull the seam tight. And we'll do this slip stitch at the end of every round. And now we can pull on the tail in the middle of the circle to close it. Now to do round 2, and remember we'll chain 2 at the beginning of every round. Now let's do an increase in the next 3 stitches. So an increase means doing 2 double crochets into 1 stitch. So first, do 1 double crochet into the first stitch of the round. This is the same stitch that we just slip stitched into. So yarn over, go under the V of the first stitch and complete your double crochet. Then we'll do a second double crochet into that same stitch. Now we'll move on to the next stitch, and we'll do a double crochet under the V of this next stitch. Then we'll do a second. And we'll do 2 double crochets into the next stitch again. So now that we have done 6 double crochets, 2 into each of the last 3 stitches, we'll chain 1. Then we'll continue with increases into the next 3 stitches. And once you've done 6 over 3 stitches, we'll chain 1 and continue that pattern. Once we reach the end, we'll chain one and close off the round with a slip stitch again. So here is the slip stitch from last round, the first chain we made, the second chain we made, and the first double crochet of the round. Now you should have a pentagon with 6 stitches on each side and 5 chain 1 space corners. For round 3, we'll chain 2, then do a double crochet into the chain space from last round. And then we'll do 1 double crochet into each of the stitches along the side. And make sure you don't miss this first stitch. Then we should reach the next corner and you should have done 7 double crochets so far. And in every corner, we'll do a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Then we'll continue with 6 double crochets along the side. And 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet into the corner, and we'll continue that all the way around. Once we reach the end, you'll see we already have 1 double crochet into this last corner space, which was our first stitch of this round. To finish this corner, we'll do 1 double crochet, chain 1, and we'll slip stitch. And we should have 8 stitches on each side and 5 chain 1 space corners. For this last round, chain 2 and we'll do 4 double crochets into the chain space from last round. And here are 4 double crochets into that chain space. Then we'll skip the first stitch along the side. And it might be hidden behind our double crochets. And in the second stitch along the side, we'll do a double crochet. Then in the next, we'll do a half double crochet. To do a half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then we'll single crochet the next 3 stitches together. First, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, then insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, finally insert your hook into the 3rd stitch, yarn over and pull through. And now there should be 4 loops on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook to combine them into 1 stitch. And we'll call this a single crochet 3 together. Then we'll do a half double crochet. Again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Then do a double crochet into the last stitch on the side. Now we should be at the corner, and in the corner, we'll do 4 double crochets, then 1 treble crochet, and to do a treble crochet, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the space, yarn over, pull through, and now there should be 4 loops on your hook, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And the treble crochets form the points of the stars. Then we'll do 4 more double crochets into this corner space. Then we'll continue that pattern. For the side, we'll skip the first stitch, which is here. Then we'll double crochet into the next stitch. Then a half double crochet. Then we'll single crochet 3 together by pulling up a loop in the next 3 stitches. Then yarning over and pulling through all 4 loops. Then we'll do a half double crochet, then a double crochet. Then in the corner space, we'll do 4 double crochets, then a treble crochet by yarning over twice, pulling up a loop, and yarning over and pulling through 2 loops 3 times. Then we'll do 4 more double crochets and we'll continue the pattern. So again, for each side, we skip the first stitch, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet 3 together, half double crochet, double crochet. Then for each corner space, we'll do 4 double crochets, 1 treble crochet, and 4 double crochets. If you want the points of your stars to be pointier, then you can add a picot after every treble crochet. So after your treble crochet, chain 2, insert your hook into these 2 loops near the top of the treble crochet, then complete a slip stitch. And then you would work your 4 double crochets as normal. And that's only if you want your points to be pointier, and you'll do that after every treble crochet. But if you don't, then you can just skip that picot. Then near the end, we'll complete the last corner space with 4 double crochets and a treble crochet. Then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. And we'll fasten off by chaining 1, cutting the yarn about 5 inches, pulling through with our hook, and tightening the knot. And here is the star coaster. Now we can turn this into a pouch. And if you just wanted a coaster, you can skip to the part where I weave in my loose ends. It's labeled in the description. To make a pouch, we'll make another star, but without fastening off. So here are the 2 stars. And we'll flip the finished one so the wrong side is facing up. And we'll put the other one on top of it, and we can start attaching them together. So the right side is facing out on both sides. To attach them together, you can sew it, but I'll show you how to slip stitch it together. First chain 1, then we'll slip stitch around. First we'll go into the first stitch, the one we just slip stitched into. Then we'll go into the other star, making sure to line up the stitches. So we'll look for the treble crochet on the other star, then insert our hook into the stitch to the right of it. And we'll complete a slip stitch. Then we'll continue slip stitching around, making sure that our treble crochets on each point of the star line up. Our last slip stitch will go into the treble crochets on the last point. And we'll leave this little opening. Then we can make a little handle by chaining 25 or however long you want it. Then we'll slip stitch through the treble crochets on the first point where we started. And now we can cut our yarn about 5 inches and pull through with our hook. And you can double knot this loose end with the other one right next to it. Now we can weave in our loose ends. First, we'll turn the pouch inside out so we can weave them into the inside. Then we'll thread this loose end into our needle. And since this loose end isn't tied down, let's knot it against the surface. Then with our needle, let's try to go up to the second round of stitches. Then we'll go under stitches in one direction with our needle. And then we'll pull it through. Then we'll go up to the next round and turn around and go under stitches in the other direction. And we can snip off the remaining yarn, or you can go back again in that other direction. And we'll do that for all of our loose ends. Then we'll turn it back with the right side out. And here's the finished pouch. It can hold AirPods and lip balm or any other small things. And if you tuck the string into the pouch, you can even use it as a coaster. And that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Also let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.